Am I the asshole for kicking my coworker out of the car after he littered? My coworker asked for a ride home today because of the snowstorm and Ubers were charging a ridiculous amount. I said sure, no problem. While I was driving he opened the window and I asked why. He said, "I'm just gonna toss my coffee cup." I said absolutely not and enabled the child lock. He got pussy and said, "Relax, everyone does it. It's no big deal." I warned him that if he littered from my car, I'm going to kick him out. He didn't heed my warning and opened the door at a red light and just tossed his coffee cup. So I turned to the nearest parking lot and told him to go back and pick his garbage up or I'm not dropping him off. We were still 15 miles away from his house and it was 20 degrees out. He only had a light jacket and a hoodie on. He refused and told me that I'm being overly dramatic. I told him to get out of my car. He refused, so I straight up told him that I'll call the cops and report him to management the next day if he doesn't leave my car. Only when I was with 911 did he leave my car. He told me that he'll pick up the litter, and I told him that it's too late and drove off. He kept calling and texting me, so I had to block his number. Am I the asshole? He probably paid $80,100 for an Uber. I completely understand your point. I'm concerned that he refused to leave your car. That could have escalated. Please tell HR what happened before he thinks to do so, not like a complaint. Just mention it in case it comes up in your workplace. Not the asshole. Even if he really believes everyone litter, he could have lived with your strict rules for that one car ride as you were doing him a favor. Also, what you asked was really not strict at all. Most people do not litter. It just looks that way because litter tends to stay for a long while, and so the litterers feel justified when they see the garbage. You told him what the consequences would be and the over-entitled DB did it anyway. This is entirely on him. Solid. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I can't stand littering, but also he didn't respect you at all. Guess he doesn't want to ride again. Sorry, but good job. Myself and a couple friends used to fish together almost weekly. I drove, and they knew we left the area cleaner than we found it. Pick up any trash, whether it was yours or someone else's. I didn't care how much trash was in my vehicle on the way home. Had a coworker that wanted to go with us. I knew he was a slob, but decided to take him along. I told him the rules. He said okay. Spent the day picking up his shit that he couldn't seem to notice. When I dropped him off, he asked me when we were going fishing again. I told him, we are not going fishing again, since you won't clean up after yourself, like I told you. I picked up after you all fucking day. His response? You were serious about that? Yep, I was totally serious. Never went with us again. You are not the asshole. Not the asshole. You told him not to, warned him of the consequences, gave him an opportunity to correct his mistake, and still he chose to fuck around and find out. Am I the asshole for sending my sister flowers anonymously and making her husband upset? I am 37, have always been close to my sister, 35. We talk regularly, and during one such conversation, she told me she's been feeling really depressed, overwhelmed lately. As we were talking, I could tell she was holding back tears. So I decided to do something nice for her. I contacted a local florist and put in an order for some flowers. I had them delivered to my sister's place of employment with a note reading, "Thinking of you." A few hours later, the florist called me up and told me a man has been calling them non-stop and demanding they tell him who sent his wife flowers. They tried to explain that it was against their policy to reveal that information, but the man wouldn't talk no for an answer. Apparently he became so aggressive and threatening over the phone. The shop called me up and asked my permission to reveal the name of the sender to the man. The man being my brother-in-law. It turns out, my sister had called her husband and thanked him for the flowers. He told her he hadn't sent any flowers and accused her of having an affair. He believed her affair partner had sent them to her, which is why he called the florist like a lunatic, demanding names. Now my sister is more depressed than ever and she's been fighting with my brother-in-law ever since. My friends think I should have included my name on the card. Had I done that, they say, this blow-up would have never happened. I say it's my brother-in-law to blame, as he was the one who can't control his temper. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Edit, update. Oops. I totally forgot to explain that I gave the florist permission to tell my brother-in-law it was me. So he knows, my sister knows, everyone knows at this point. Sorry for the confusion. So, I am not sure how anyone thinks sending anonymous flowers to a married woman would end up well. You're 37, old enough to know better. Sister thinks husband did a nice thing for her, turns out husband did not. Who did? Why did you not sign the card? Have you told them it was you? Husband is an all-around jerk for flying off the handle right away. Why assume wife, sister is having an affair right off the bat? I have a feeling sister is depressed because of him. Even if husband gently, kindly said it wasn't him, where does that leave her? Calling everyone she knows, not knowing who sent them. Begging the florist to tell her so she can say thank you? Eventually calling you to vent about how she got these flowers and she doesn't know from whom so that you can be like, surprise, I am the best. Maybe she would feel like it was a stalker, someone with a crush on her, and feel really uncomfortable. I'm assuming you know your brother-in-law and this isn't 100% out of character. But even if he isn't usually prone to rage, most people would at least feel comfortable, somewhat suspicious. My friends think I should have included my name on the card. Had I done that, they say, this blow-up would have never happened. You set the stage, and this is the fallout. If you wanted to give an emotionally uplifting bouquet, great. But why didn't you tell her it was from you? Now my sister is more depressed than ever and she's been fighting with my brother-in-law ever since. And when things blew up, you still kept your silence and watched Rome burn. You are the asshole. I am confused why you didn't just put your name. Like what the fuck, is it a weird secret you sent your sister flowers? Not saying the husband's response was 100% appropriate, but you made a sweet gesture into a weird drama because you weirdly and anonymously sent her flowers with, thinking of you. Just send a, hey sis. Here are some flowers because I have been thinking of you. And go about your day. Aha. Everyone sucks here. You are being woefully ignorant if you think that the assumption wouldn't have been her partner. For her, and for everyone in her office. There were definitely people saying to her, ah, your husband is so sweet, etc. If she knew, she could have just said, yay, he is, but these are actually from my loving brother. But she's stuck thinking, I have no idea who the fuck sent these to me. Of course her husband is going to be caught off guard by it, and as random flowers are often considered romantic, upset. And she is going to have no response. Husband is the asshole for raging at the florist. It's close to being ishish, but falls into you or the asshole territory because flowers from an unknown person saying, thinking of you, is definitely suspicious. You can easily rectify the situation, but are sitting on Reddit asking for how to rectify the situation. Am I the asshole for asking a parent not to park in my spot? The place I work shares a parking lot with a daycare. We have 3 reserved spots that we pay for. Otherwise, parking is a nightmare. I came back from lunch this afternoon and 2 of our 3 reserved spots were taken. Right after I parked, a guy comes out of the daycare with a grumpy-looking toddler and starts getting into one of the cars parked in one of our spots. I asked him to park somewhere else next time. He responded that his kid had a fever and needed to be picked up and that he had been inside for 30 seconds. I said this has nothing to do with your kid, we pay for these spots because we need them. He just got in his car and left. Am I the asshole here? Not the asshole, you paid for it, you get it. We used to own a condo with a small parking lot that had just enough spots for the condo owners. Those spots cost at least $10,000 a piece to own. One time, a friend of one of the other owners gave us shit because it wasn't cool that we couldn't just let him use it for a few hours. We MSGED the owners who were hosting that guest and the owners told him to get out of the spot ASAP. It was a 5-unit building and they didn't want to mess with the piece that we had all enjoyed since living there. Not the asshole, you pay for your spot and it is for you. I would say that he was probably frazzled and stressed and didn't expect to be in the spot for very long, so it probably wasn't malicious. He should have apologized and went on his way. Didn't need to become a whole thing. Maybe get a little traffic cone or something to stick in the middle of your spot when you run off to lunch next time. Not the asshole, people always think they have a need greater than yours when they decide to take something that doesn't belong to them. Used to live across from an elementary school, never again. After school was a nightmare. Parents would park in, or actually block our driveway, just to run in. Some of the parents got pretty nasty too when I confronted them. Sorry, not sorry, my house. Unfortunately, they don't care about your inconvenience, only what's convenient for them. He knew he wasn't supposed to park there, but did it anyway. I talked to the daycare, just so it doesn't get out of hand. Not the asshole. There's a daycare center on my block. The parents always block our drive when it's pickup time, no matter how much we complain to the daycare. We also had to put a trash can in front of our house because parents empty the trash out of their cars into the street while they're waiting. Again, the daycare does nothing. Absolutely, you are not the a-hole. It is that guy and every other person with the same, I was only in that spot for 5 minutes, attitude that inconvenience the disabled and people who pay money for their spots, like you, that are the real a-holes. Am I the asshole for fat shaming my brother's girlfriend? There's been a recent TikTok trend of couples filming a video where the boyfriend picks up the girlfriend. My brother's girlfriend had been wanting to do it for a while, and he initially didn't want to. He didn't bring it up, but I think it did have to do with her weight, as she's heavier than him, and I think he didn't want to make her feel bad by not being able to pick her up. She insisted, and he finally agreed, but when they filmed the video, he wasn't able to lift her. She immediately started berating him and saying he was small and weak and needed to go to the gym so he is able to pick her up. I told her she shouldn't belittle my brother like that, and she said she's just telling the truth that if he can't lift a girl then he's weak. I pointed out that the truth in this case is that he's a perfectly normal weight and she's more the cause of him not being able to pick him up than he is. He's 5 feet 10,150s, she's 5 feet 3,180s. She called me a body-shaming asshole and left, and a lot of her friends are telling me now I'm an asshole too for body-shaming her. I don't think that's fair. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, and your brother should look for a more respectful partner. Weren't her comments body-shaming your brother? The biggest issue is following stupid TikTok trends. She called him weak, you called her fat. It evens out. In emo he needs to lose her because her shaming him is going to get worse and not better. Not the asshole. At 5 feet 3 inches and 180, she's not exactly liftable for your average teenager. What the fuck is wrong with her shaming the BF? The truth hurts, I guess. So an obese girlfriend who outweighs her boyfriend by a substantial amount created a situation in which her obesity is put on full display. Weird. Sounds too stupid to be real.